All right, today I'm going to go ahead and just give you a little bit of an intro to Chapter 2. I'm hoping that this is going to be a review from something you've learned last year. All right, so what this is basically, it's called order of operations, and it's trying to teach us whenever we're doing add, subtract, multiply, and divide, what kinds of problems or what kinds of areas of the problem that we should do first. So this is called Pemdas. Everyone say Pemdas. Pemdas. So as she just said, something that kind of can help us to remember this acronym is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. What does the P stand for? Parentheses. So these parentheses can be anything that looks like normal parentheses like that, anything that is inside of brackets, or a fraction bar. All of those are the things that we would do first as far as parentheses goes. And that means we'll do the work inside of those parentheses. Next up, the E stands for exponents. So if you're looking at this right here, this is 3 squared, or 3 to the second power. Can someone tell me what 3 squared means? Riley, what's it mean?
3 times 3.
It means 3 times 3. What does 4 squared mean? 4 times 4. What does 10 squared mean? 10 times 10, okay? So whenever you see those exponents, that'll be the second thing we're looking for. Next up, there's 2 things, and these are on the same line. It is important that you understand that they are on the same line, and you will do them in order of whatever comes from left to right. It does not mean multiplication will always come before division. It means whatever comes first on the line from left to right is what you'll do first. And after that, there's 2 final ones. What are the last 2 in PEMDAS? Addition and subtraction. Once again, from left to right. So whatever comes first, if addition comes first, you do it first. If subtraction comes first, you would actually do it before you do the addition. So we're going to go ahead and use PEMDAS to help us know how to do this. First thing in P, what does the P stand for, guys? Parentheses. Do you see any parentheses in problem A? No. What about E? What does E stand for? Exponents. Do you see any exponents there? No. Let's go to the next one. You can see M and D are on the same line. Do you see any multiplication or division? Yes. Which ones? The little dot, okay? So whenever you see that little dot, that means 10 times 5. Let me explain to you. This right here, if you were to say 10.5, that means 10 times 5. Or you could say 10 with parentheses. Whenever you have numbers next to each other in parentheses, that also means to multiply. Or this means 10 times 5. So no, you can do it any of those 3 ways, and each time they both mean 10 times 5, 10 times 5, and 10 times 5, okay? So let's go ahead. What is 10 times 5? 50. So we are going to put our answer directly underneath where we have underlined. Now remember, if I am underlining it on my board, it needs to be in your notes exactly like this, because this is how I'm looking for it on a quiz or a test. Now, what about this right here? What do you think I should do with that? Just drop it down, okay? So now we have 50 plus 50. Olivia, what is 50 plus 50? 100. Remember, I want you to go ahead and put your answers underneath the problem. Going on to problem B, Joseph, do you see anything in parentheses that I should do first?
Yes, I do.
What do you see?
See 3 plus 7 and 6 minus 3.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and underline. We see 3 plus 7. Anais, what is 3 plus 7? 10. Excellent. Okay. He also said we saw more parentheses. 6 minus 3. Maddie, what is that? 3. Okay. Am I done?
No.
What else do I need to do? Okay. There's an exponent there. So if I put this here, I'm still going to go ahead and bring down these parentheses. Remember, when I have parentheses there, that is telling you that I'm going to need to multiply it by the number 10. Let's go ahead and go through once again. P stands for parentheses. Is there any work that I need to do inside of those parentheses? No, that's just a 3. So I'm done with the P parentheses. What about E exponents? Do I have anything?
Yes.
Yes. So what I want you to do is underline. This is what we're working on next. 3 squared. Colin, what is 3 squared?
10 or 30.
3 squared. We got to do our exponents first. What does 3 squared mean? 3 times 3.
Oh, 3. Oh.
Yep, you don't want to multiply it times 2. It means 3 times 3. Okay? That is 9. So we're going to drop down the 9. Am I finished? Is there something else that needs to drop down? Yes, the 10. Now, will I just leave the 10 just like that? No, because then it looks like my answer is 109. What do you think I need to also bring down with it? The parentheses. What do those parentheses tell me I need to do? Multiply. Dominic, what's the last answer? 90 is correct. On to the next one. Kaylee, what do you think I need to do first?
We have to do the exponent.
You are correct. We're going to go to the exponent. So everybody underline the exponents. That tells me that's what I'm going to do first. Kaylee, what's 4 squared? 16. Good job. Because remember, it does not mean 4 times 2. It means 4 times itself, or 4 times 4. Everything else needs to drop down. So the first thing I should drop down, Sarah, is what? Bring down the 40. What else should I bring down? The minus sign. What else? Divide by 2. All right? Now we are still working here on our problem. Are there any more parentheses? Any more exponents? Is there any multiplication or division? Yes. What is it?
16 divided by 2.
Everybody underline 16 divided by 2. Tyra, what is 16 divided by 2? 8. And Olivia, what do I do with everything else that was up here at the top? You drop it down. Now I am left with one sign, just the boys. What is 40 minus 8? 32. Very good. Now, I want you to use Pemdas and go ahead and try D on your own. All right, we're going to go ahead and work through this. I want to remind you of Pemdas. P for parentheses comes first. E for exponents is next. Multiplication and division are done on the same playing field, okay? Then same thing with addition and subtraction. For these ones, you just work from left to right when you have multiplication and division, okay? So how many of you would say you did 9 times 3 first? Okay, that's not what you want to do. Remember, in your notes when we just wrote it, the multiplication and the division, they're the same, okay? You don't do one before the other. You just read from left to right. So the first thing from left to right, I'm going to divide. 54 divided by 9 is 6. Excellent. I'm going to drop everything else down. What do I do first, the multiplication or the division?
Division.
I do whatever comes first from left to right. Remember, when I said multiplication and division, they're on the same playing field. Doesn't matter, whatever comes first from left to right. So what's the first thing on the left side? 6 times 3. What is 6 times 3? 18. And then you just drop down your divided by 6. And your final answer is?
3.
Was there anyone who got that correct? Good job. All right, so I'm going to introduce you to the idea called the distributive property. Everyone say distributive property. Okay, so what you can see up here, I have a jar of what? Starburst. What I am going to do today is to distribute these. Do you know what it means to distribute? To pass out or to give out, okay? So if I were to take this and pass it out or give it out, would it be fair if I only chose to give this to the boys?
Yes.
No.
What about if I only gave it to the girls?
Yes.
Okay, so the girls think that's fair, but listen, in order to be fair, I have to distribute this candy evenly to everybody. So let me give you the idea here about the distributive property. It says that the number outside the parentheses is multiplied by everything inside the parentheses because you have to be fair. So looking at this example right here, what is outside the parentheses? A. I have to multiply A by everything inside the parentheses. So take your pencil, and I want you to do just as I do on my screen. I'm going to multiply A times B, and then I'm also going to multiply A times C. So take your pencil, and this shows us that we are multiplying that A, that number on the outside, or the letter on the outside in this case, by each one. Now let me teach you something. When I want to multiply A times B, that would just be AB. When you have two letters side by side, it means you're multiplying them. So go ahead and put that underneath. Guess what I'm going to do with that plus sign? Drop it down. Now remember, I also have to multiply this A times C. For this, what I want you to do is we're going to use the distributive property. Now, according to what we just learned with Pemdas, we would always say, oh, I'm just going to find this first and then multiply them together. But today I want to teach you about the distributive property. Remember, the number outside the parentheses has to be multiplied by everything inside the parentheses. So take your little pencil and I want you to draw arrows just like I did before. When I draw that arrow there, what do you think that means? I got to multiply it together, okay? So I'm going to bring that down. 3 times 2. Am I finished? No, the number outside the parentheses has to be multiplied by everything inside the parentheses. So I also want to multiply it by that. So what do you think I'm going to do with my plus sign?
Bring it down.
Drop it down. And now I'm going to also do 3 times 3. All right, so let's work from left to right. What is 3 times 2?
6.
6. Drop down your plus sign. What is 3 times 3? 9. And what is 6 plus 9?
15.
15. All right, that is how you do distributive property. Now, for us, a lot of times, let me rewrite the original problem. You don't have to write this in your notes, but just to show you. See how we normally would do inside the parentheses first? What is this answer to inside the parentheses?
5.
5. And then I would also bring down my 3. What is 3 times 5? 15. Did we get the same answer? Yes. So I am just showing you a different way to do distributive property. This is something we're going to use eventually whenever we have like X's and Y's inside of our problems. Let's go on to the next one. All right. What number is outside the parentheses? 4. So we're going to go ahead and multiply 4 times 50 and then 4 times 3. Okay? So drop this down, 4 times 50. What should I do with my minus sign?
Drop it down.
We're also going to drop it down. And then what do you think I'm multiplying by next?
4 times
4 times 3. Take that number outside first and multiply it by everything in the middle. So let's start from left to right. What is 4 times 50?
200.
200. Bring down your minus sign. And what's 4 times 3?
12.
12. Now you can see we only have one sign here, so we are left to go ahead and find our problem. What is 200 minus 12?
188.
188. All right, the only reason this seems a little trickier is because we're adding negatives in. But remember, the number outside the parentheses gets multiplied by everything inside the parentheses. So this negative 4 is going to go right here. All right, so let's go ahead and multiply negative 4 times 5. What do you think I need to do with that plus sign?
Bring.
Drop it down. Now's where it gets tricky. What number is outside the parentheses? Negative 4. What else do I need to multiply it by? 8. So let's draw a little arrow. Let's go ahead and put these in parentheses so we know negative 4 times 8. What is negative 4 times 5? Negative 20. Drop down your plus sign. And now I have one negative, so my answer has to be negative. What is negative 4 times 8?
Negative 32.
Negative 32. Remember, every number has a sign, and that sign is directly in front of that number. Same sign or different sign? Same sign. Add the numbers, keep the sign. What's your answer? Negative 52. All right, looking at this next one. 12 plus negative 12. Do you guys remember what those are? 12 plus negative 12?
0.
It does equal 0, but do you remember what kind of numbers are those?
Opposite.
They are opposite numbers, okay? So does this make sense? 12 plus negative 12 equals 0 is an example of the opposite property of addition. No, there was a special word I taught you that means opposite. Do you guys remember it? It is inverse. Everybody put that in there. It's the inverse property of addition. Now there's one last problem I want to do today. 2 times negative 3 times negative 4. Looks a little bit different than 2 times negative 4 times negative 3. What is different about those two?
They're switched.
I switched the order of them. Do you guys remember the property I taught you where you switch? Commutative property is correct. So this is an example of the commutative property of multiplication. All right, so that's just a little bit of a review about the commutative property. Okay, and that's the end of our chapter 2 intro.